Ahoy, hello, and what is good, LCO fans? I'm Papa Pike, that's Skimmy, that's Tally, my partners in crime, as we are here to bring you some upsetting games as we enter into the playoff split, which we are so excited for, Skimmy. I know you've been keen, I know Tally's been keen, we've all got the button-up shirts, we're all looking fine. How are you feeling tonight, Tally?
I'm feeling good. I don't know about button-up shirts. I put on my newspaper personally, but I'm excited. We're finally in playoffs. Like, it's finally best of series. We're going to have our winner of the day, which is, really nice to see.
Look, you're bringing the news. I'm excited for it. Skimmy's looking good in that red. Man, it's just fire right now. I'm vibing with it, but we can't go to Skimmy just yet. We need to do a big thank you and a big shout out to some teams that we aren't going to see anymore in the LCO. So we're going to go pass it off to a short little highlight video about Mammoth and our friends Kanga, as they did not make it into the playoffs. Let's just have a look at how these teams went and had such a blast. But thank you so much, guys. Let's take a look.
By the Cassandra, who goes all out right underneath the tower and eventually gets that shutdown. There is all the damage coming together as Praetor is able to answer back in a phenomenal fashion, but it all goes down to the Corky. Double ults from the Eddie carries to try and get the fight started in the end. Nice little steadfast presence to interrupt the flag and draft and Cole Leaf. As a result, he's actually good at it, picks up the kill and gets that all-important shutdown onto Styx. No summoners, no chance to survive. Doraemon from the base rocks up with Leandries and is spitting hot fire on the entire team, but it doesn't matter. Simply with a gold lead, they lose. They're all in. Forever's going to jump from one side. No way, I do not believe it. They've got the dragon, they've got the baron, they've stolen it all. Forever may just be the GOAT.
Honestly, I didn't know what was going on. I was just playing full on hitting minions the whole time. My teammates would go like, press R, press R, press R, and then I press R, and then...
Well, look, today I feel a little bit sick of losing, so hopefully tonight's going to be that tomorrow.
But now that they see the job, and you've got to burn the flash, the Cataclysm to follow, and that is why the Ashe doesn't really like this game, because he cannot escape. And he tried to showcase. That's exactly it, right? He's just like, okay, guys, look at the camera, break that fourth wall, and be like, guys, they're banning me out again. Like, the lights go out, Imperio jumps in, he can't get it done on his own, the flash to try and confuse him, they go for the clone! Sovereign may just be the go. Rocking up with that Justice Punch, and it's like a case of, can we hit the Blade Caller? I'm furiously working, anxiously hoping that the Blade Caller finds the route. It'll lock down Kevy, but stuck between a rock and a hard place. He does what he can, he receives the ballot, and it procs successfully!
And we bow to our fallen foes as they are no longer in this series. But Skimmy, they did so well. They sadly didn't make it through to the end, but they put on some bangers for us.
They did, yeah. Unfortunately for Kanga, just a little bit too experienced, too much of a rookie squad coming into this one, right? A lot of harsh lessons, but some great opportunity for the players to sort of see what the step up is like. And then for Mammoth, yeah, it was an interesting one, right? It opened up with a triple AD carry roster, and I think as the split went on and on and on, they found more comfort, but based on it being a very condensed season, just a little bit too late.
You live and you learn, you prep for next split, that's all you can ask for, but we're in playoffs now, guys. Let's have a look at what this playoff series is going to be, because I can tell you today is going to be a monstrous first couple of series, because we got Ground Zero versus Ion there, and then Bliss Antic as well today too. But then whatever teams lose, Tally, they move down into the lower bracket.
Yeah, and it's such a nice thing that we're straight away, presented with the best teams going up against each other in the upper bracket. So I'm really excited to see the outcomes we're going to have today, and who's going to go down to that lower bracket against Fury and Direwolves, and what that since this is the double elimination, what it's going to look like going forward.
Well, we can talk about this all day, but we've got all week to break this down further as it evolves with us too. Let's have a look at tonight's schedule and see who's going to be playing, who's going to be doing what, because it is, like I said, Ground Zero versus Ion, our first seed versus fourth versus Team Bliss and Antic. Honestly, Skimmy, could you ask for a better day of games?
You certainly couldn't. It's a great way to open up the account, get yourself invested, and maybe strap in for the entire week with LCO action. Obviously, Ground Zero undefeated, very tall task for Ion. And I think that's the one series that we've been truly denied of an outcome, right? We talk about the 1-1 or the best of two, but this is a situation where Doraemon, their star top laner, unable to feature. They had a bit of a roster shuffle in that game too. Never really got the true conclusion to that one, right? So hoping for a bit of showing tonight and seeing if they can try and bridge the gap between those skill levels, because Ground Zero are looking like a team that may just go undefeated this entire split.
Ground Zero seems to be like the saving grace of all of OS right now, except we've got so many other teams in there too that we have to talk about. But talking about saving grace and talking about top tier level, we've got a little surprise for you, ladies and gentlemen, because we haven't had them on for quite a while, but we're excited to have them back. We actually have the lovely gentleman over at PCS, the English broadcast, joining us this evening on the desk. Gents, how are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited to be here and excited to give my opinion on my pride and joy in the PCS, and I'm sure, Lo, you can speak for yourself.
Yeah, same deal over here. Excited to talk about the PCS any chance we get. How have you guys been? Playoffs coming up.
Pretty good. Yo, playoffs are feeling good. They're feeling pretty fire. But I guess while we've got you, let's learn a little bit about PCS, right? Like, I think you guys have been watching it all season long. You're going to be there a little bit more. Tell us how the split's looking.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start. I think the split is looking ultimately, and this is a pretty consistent theme when it comes to the PCS, that it just levels up every single split, right? Like we started off, you know, when I started casting a year ago in the spring, it was looking pretty strong, but there were clear weaknesses in the region, and I think progressing further and further along, it's just getting stronger and stronger. And we're kind of at the point now that you saw at the most recent MSI, PSG took BLG to 5 games, and they've continued that reign of terror really when they've come over to back to regional play, and they are looking completely unstoppable. The lower teams just below them also looking phenomenal, taking it to them really, and showing great set of games.
That being said though, PSG only dropping 1 single game so far, so it feels like they're a clear favorite for us and are maybe, at least in my opinion, just a step above the rest of the teams in the league. Otherwise, we've got CFO kind of struggling, and DCG, were a team that actually eliminated Ground Zero. Ground Zero ran into them twice, I think, in our playoffs last time. Turns out they're a very good team. They've just made a change in their ADC, and they're now in our top 3. So they're in the upper bracket for our playoffs now.
Yeah.
So a lot of improvements in the PCS.
Your split's looking pretty good. I like hearing that, but you said sort of like there's some teams that aren't there. I was sort of just like, I hope you're not about to say LCO, because like we're coming for you. We're feeling it. We've got the fire. We've got the hunger. You gotta watch yourselves when we head over there. But I want to talk about a little something different. And I know that the gents want to talk about this. The meta has been looking so unique for you guys, and I guess it's also looking very similar to ours. Do you think there's any champions we could expect when LCO starts heading over to PCS?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to leave out sort of PSG and CFO for this one because they're obviously in the upper bracket and they have a more unique take on the meta. They're also very much better at just picking up new champs that maybe not part of the meta, or maybe they're just coming into the meta. But when you look at DCG, and you guys probably do remember this from last split as well, as, you know, Ground Zero, they did go up against them twice, as Lo touched on. They don't conform to a meta. They absolutely do not. I mean, Cascada so far, he has played every single AD carry mid. He's also played Tryndamere, he's played Yone, he's played Yasuo. He doesn't really care what the meta is. He will just pick what he thinks is good, and the team go to play around it.
Yeah.
And so I think for that team in specific, it's going to be hard to work out. It always is, even for the PCS teams. Frank and J-Team, as well as West Point, very much meta conformers. You can kind of expect what you see in the LCO is also what you can expect from these teams as well.
Yeah, a lot of AP jungle, right?
Yeah. AP jungle, AD carry mids. You're going to go up against them. It's going to probably come down to who has a better read on how to play macro and micro, obviously, abilities as well.
Yeah, it's a very front-to-back meta, at least in the PCS at the moment. We've got, you know, just AP from the jungle and then 2 ADCs, 2 tanks in pretty much every comp.
Very similar.
Pretty stock standard, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're gonna work our way down because it's gonna go to Skimmy, then Tally, then Vestion, and then Omar, right? I'm gonna say, so how do you think LCO and PCS are going to compare? Skimmy, I'll let you start that off.
Well, yeah, I'm obviously very interested to see how things have changed because I look at it from the top-down level and I think that, you know, much like how Grand Zero have absolutely dominated the LCO, it feels like PSG have done the same, where it's like a front runner, a very clear front runner, but you've got 2 very strong contestants just shy behind them that on their day certainly could cause a bit of an upset. Do you feel like that is still a very true narrative? You talk about, like, obviously how well they did at MSI, but is it a case of still just nobody in the entire region of APAC is going to be able to hold a torch against PSG?
I think for
Tally?
PSG in specific, I think PSG in specific, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, they just look way too strong, at least for now. We'll see playoffs to come, though.
Playoffs to come. Playoffs to come, Tally?
Okay, I guess I'm curious about, you know, we've seen this meta shift into, it's a farm-heavy game right now, right? You're not really seeing, like, the Lee Sins, the Viegos, these early ganking junglers. And I know that PCS historically has been this region that is just really good at being aggressive. You know, even though I think Kalista is quite a weak champ, it's still seeing a really, really high presence in your region. So, you know, I'm curious, do you guys think that with, you know, if this does stay in that same meta, we're going to see that, you know, AP carry, double AD carries, 2 tanks. Do you think when OS comes over to PCS, it's going to be a much slower game and, this might benefit us?
I think there is something to say when it comes to that, of course. The one thing I'm concerned about, of course, is there is a patch coming up where AP junglers are getting pretty heavily nerfed, and it probably seems like we're going to have a switch in the meta. If there's no switch in the meta, I think maybe the scaling, it can be good, but there's certain teams, like, again, I'll talk about DCG once more, is that they don't care about the meta. Like, they play these AD carries and the AP junglers and then just take it to you completely. There's also AD carries in the league. Chi stands out as one. He's one of the weaker teams in terms of our playoff contenders and J team. But he just dominates his lane and he can really spread that across the map. He did that kind of against LCO, if you remember. He was like 5-0 Zeri, and it was Antics that were going up against him, and King, especially finding a really nice Varus ult on them, can turn it around. So I think, like, for the upper echelon teams, PSG, if you're going scaling against them, I would be pretty worried because they're really good at playing to scaling. But for the lower team, the lower seed teams, definitely not. They struggle when it comes to mid-game and late-game macro. And I think LCO teams definitely have a chance against them. I would be definitely worried, though, because the mechanics of these players is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and just a point about the pace of the game. I think just the Kalista pick being more present is just an indicator of how quickly we can go in the PCS. Yeah. Though we're playing kind of boring traditional front-to-back compositions, expect these junglers to just be all in your business, especially if you give them several winning lanes. You can just lose before the game even starts. We've seen that happen a lot in the PCS.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. It's so good to actually get a chance to chat with you guys and learn a little bit more about PCS. I know I'll be watching you guys as we head into it. As soon as playoffs is done, I'll be watching you guys and be very thorough about who's going to win, because, again, Ground Zero is going to beat PSG. I'm just going to put it out there now. But, gents, good luck out there. Thank you so much again. Yeah, everyone's concerned about that. You know what? I'm hopeful, all right? Sue me. Don't sue me. I'll lose very quickly. But thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the show.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Good set of lads, honestly. Everyone was a little bit shocked by my call out there. Sorry, Talon. Like, I apologize, but Ground Zero's looking good. Talon's looking good, but you got to have a little bit of faith.
Yeah, we do, and I think there's the OS bias like we've had in the past, and there's the realism which we look to try and bury very deep down and go like, let's not be behind like 10,000 gold by 15 minutes, because that's been a very very common theme, right? And I think, yeah, definitely some very unique picks over there that we don't look to try and prioritize. So once PCS does come around for the playoffs, when we go overseas, I am hoping that the meta is in a position where we can actually excel, and that we're not just like striving to get like a single game away from the LJL. We need to start to try and really bring it to the PCS in particular.
I think we can do it. I think we can do it, Tally. We don't have to worry about it. Let's just blind optimism. I don't need to be a realist. I'm not going to be a pessimist. Optimistic Pike all the way. It's the only way to do it. Let's go to a short break, though, as we get ready for our first series of the night. It's going to be so big, almost too big, that you could be questioning how large I'm actually considering it. But it's Ground Zero versus Ion, the Hydra versus Hercules. Who's going to take this win? You'll have to stick around and find out. We'll see you there.
Fantasy, 'cause you're the one I'm dreaming.
Kevy's after becomes Tavares. Falls down on the stopwatch. It's carnage. Only triple happening here is for Phyto. Oh, it's do or die.
Welcome back after that beautifully short break. We love a good short break, lads, don't we? As we are getting ready for the first series, right into it. No slowing down. It's 5 days of non-stop LCO action. Let's look at our first team. The team that's been hankering in a new era for League of Legends. It is Ground Zero. This team is absolute dynamite. The mythical god Hydra that we're all dreaming about. And they're just looking so good, Skimmy, and I can't wait to talk about them more.
Absolutely, yeah. Undefeated at this stage. Still looking to try and find what is their weakness, what is their true undoing. They've been tested on multiple occasions. Sometimes even been down by a staggering 10,000 gold, but it's just not been enough. So, I have to see what Iron can do up against them tonight. I'm curious to see where some of the unique picks they've shown, especially in that last game, right? When we had a Zeri Doraemon performance. How much diversity do they have? How much volatility can they, put out? And who wants to try and be the star of the show? Because they've certainly got their niche picks. They've got their own play style. But making sure their early game is strong enough that Ground Zero is going to get that free pass has to be the focus to me, Tally, because otherwise, we see what happens. Ground Zero get up by 4,000 or 5,000 gold, and the game's just full autopilot.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to what Ion's approach is going to be this series because, we have seen that it's so hard to match Ground Zero in this, the meta that we're seeing where they look so strong on the, mage jungle with the AD carries in whatever positions they prefer. And I think it's quite difficult to match up to that. And is it going to be Ion, since this is a best of series, you get to choose, they can match it in first game. They might go for a completely different approach and, catch them off guard. Because we did see that brand come out in the bot lane last week. And it might be a, very curious approach coming out of Ion.
I'm pretty keen to see what it's going to look like as well. I think both these teams have shown, it's exactly like Skimmy Scared, both have very unique identities where they have sort of thrown around different picks. Like we see that Ari as well coming out with sticks too. So there's definitely that diversity. These teams definitely feel very comfortable playing unique things and really pushing the boundaries. And I think Ground Zero being that 1 seed are not afraid, I think, at this point in time, Skimmy, to really push the limits again.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, in terms of what they've shown, you can look at Tien, for example, and say, yeah, he's only been playing the likes of a Camille and a Poppy, but when called upon, he'll chuck out a cheeky Nasus. We've obviously seen the Amumu in the jungle as well. Fido's got his own unique champion pool. Limus, if called upon, can go full assist roaming support center. So I think for me, yeah, they have their own sort of read on the meta. Incredibly good at the macro. How many times have we seen them discuss in their post-game interviews that Schönfire is making sure that all the lanes have been attended to, they're all pushed out before that next play happens. And they're just an incredibly balanced team above all else for me, right? All of them have that very shared damage profile, and that's why we're calling them this Hydra team, because you can take down one threat, but they've still got 4 incredibly strong players elsewhere, so it's really hard to try and lock them down.
Fun little fact I want to put in there just really quickly is we do actually have the Hydra graphic because this is what this team is. Ion is Hercules, and to even back that point up more, Ion have 12 points to their name, which is the 12 Hercules trials. This is the final trial to make their way and to get Ground Zero out of here. But again, it's so hard to look at Ion too because they're still looking quite good. Individually strong solo laners, they know what they're doing, good at creating volatile matchups. They love to play around the dominating lanes, Tally, and I think that's a big part of this roster.
Yeah, and I think that's the main difference between, our 4th seed and our 1st seed is that, they are, okay in the laning phase. They do not really struggle when it comes to micro. They have, good drafts, but I think that when we hit that mid game is when you really start to see the gap happen. We see Ground Zero consistently have pushed outside lanes, consistently have good farm on every member. They just all over the map. They know how to attack, whereas, Ion tend to get lost, tend to go for these mismatch fights. And I think if they have worked on that in practice, this could be a very different looking series.
It's going to be interesting. I'm a little concerned, though. Like, I think I'm more concerned for Ion, if I'm being honest. I think Ground Zero have just put their standing so high up there and they're looking so fierce. It's so hard to sort of we actually had trouble coming up with like a con for that team because they are looking so good. But as we're waiting to think more about what Ground Zero could be doing, let's have a chat with their star player, the man himself, exceeding expectations. We got Limus on the line. Mate, I have one question for you and one question only. How hard is it to be the best?
Putting me on the spot here. I don't really know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I don't think I am the best, but I mean, I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, I think you should maybe ask Styx that question. He'll answer that one for you.
All right, well, okay, I'll do that for you. But mate, you've been looking so good all split. Are you feeling a little bit nervous now that you're in the playoff stage?
Yeah, look, I mean, to be honest, like I want to act hard and say like I'm not nervous, but to be honest, I get nervous like at the start of pretty much every game. I think a bit of nerves is like good, like it fires up like your nervous system and like gets you going right up. So yeah, feeling good.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Skimmy. He's on it.
He's on it, absolutely. I mean, man's played literally every champion under the sun. I suppose coming into this one, right, how much do we want to try and showcase? Because it feels like you've been pretty reserved in the champion pool, haven't really had to push the envelope too much. So is playoffs now the perfect time to say, this is our read on a brand new patch, and we want to go in and do mental damage, right? We want to go 3-0 Zep. We don't want to be wasting around, bring it to that best of 5 situation. Is it just a case of clean sweeping?
To be honest, like I don't think we've lost a game yet, so I kind of want to like lose a game to like get some experience and just see how the team reacts like once we lose. So yeah, but I think besides that, yeah, I think in playoffs, like one of the biggest advantages that you can have is like some pocket picks here and there that can throw the enemy team off guard, because like people get used to playing like the same patterns a lot, and then if you throw in like a spanner in the works, then people can get caught off guard, and like it's playoffs, so like people are already like kind of nervous. So I think it's like a huge advantage if you can.
So what I'm expecting then is a game one, you're going to bust out Nanila like last time, and everyone's going to go, what on earth is this guy's champion pool? Go back to your Jinx, go back to your Ezreal. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, look, Skimmy, bro, I can't reveal any secrets here right now, but all I'm saying is let me cook.
Let him cook.
Ooh. Cooking up, Tally, cooking.
Now, Lemus, everyone has you pined as the heavy favorites tonight. Do you think there'll be much resistance from Ion, and is there a specific area that you are concerned about?
Look, to be honest, I didn't even realize that I was playing versus Ion. So yeah, I think maybe you should ask someone else, but I guess they're like a decent team, I guess. Yeah.
So no worries, just absolute, rocked up tonight. It's going to be a very, coasting performance for yourself and expecting big things, all right?
He's chill. He's good to go, man. Like, yeah, I love that. I love the subtle confidence. You just like don't even need to answer it, right? Like I'm all good. You got the little bit of nerves, but you're excited. You're ready to go. I think you're in the best form we've seen you ever. So look, I'm gonna leave it there and just let you get back to your team. But mate, good luck tonight. I can't wait to see more of you. You're gonna crush it out there, bud.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
He's too humble in a sense. But he was just like, nah, us sticks. Like he's giving a lot of love over, but at the same time, he's he's
you've got the PR answer and the Discord with the boys answer, and like that was definitely not that one.
Number one, he said our sticks, and then he said he didn't know he was versing Ion. Kappa, liar.
He knows, man.
Not adding up.
Yeah, but no, it's good to hear that they're feeling at least prepared. Like they're not looking for a loss, but they're looking to see a challenge. Might be the better term, Skimmy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tally can attest to this, right? When he had that perfect split as well, they hadn't dropped a single game until the grand final, dropping a single game. Then you're like, oh no, it's all going to go downhill. I think sometimes teams just need to have that, right? Explore those creative picks, get a different style under your belt. And I think that's sort of what we're looking to see, right? Is if you are such a dominating team, you want to go in and guarantee that these spots are yours, and the rest of your league looks at you and goes, we actually don't know what their con is, what is their weakness, as opposed to, let's just try this new draft that worked in scrims one time. We got the upper bracket, what's the worst that can happen? So, yeah, I think everyone's looking at this to be a very, very dominating performance.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm excited for it though. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm trying to play it off really cool. Like, I love Ground Zero at the moment. I think they're looking so good, Tally. Do you think there's a weakness in the chain?
It's difficult because, on one hand, they're so good at their playstyle, right? And we've heard, like, over the weeks in a lot of interviews, people say that, Ground Zero are an exploitable team, but the games that we watch don't look that way, right? So, obviously, a lot is happening behind the scenes. A lot is happening in this, in these scrims that make these teams feel confident to, have these, or say these things in these interviews against Ground Zero. So, curious to what it is, though.
Yeah, well, we'll have to ask the right person because sticks and stones may break my bones, but we got Sticks for an interview joining us all the way from Team Ion.
Here he is.
Mate, the beautiful son of a gun. Ready to go. Pew, pew, pew. Let's not worry about my gun sounds. How are you doing tonight, mate?
Yeah, good. Feeling good. Little bit nervous, like Lima said, but I think nerves are good, and yeah, feeling good.
Now, what's the out of 10? What's the confidence level for Ion right now? Like, you're up against the #1 seed. Where on that chart are you sitting? 10 being we're going to crush them.
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, I don't want to say that we're not confident. I feel like we know that there's a possibility that we can like take a game or even a series off the teams above us, because I feel like the problems that we've had like with our mid game and stuff like that are pretty fixable. Like there's only a couple small things that really needed to change, and I feel like we've been working on those in the last week. So I'd put us at like maybe a 7.
That's a good score. Good odds. I'd take that, mate. I'm feeling it. I can almost have it. Okay, but before I hand it over to Skimmy, have you got any cool things planned for if you do take a game? Like any cool, like fun things?
I was
actually. Do you want it to be a surprise though?
I was gonna throw it over to you guys if you had any ideas for possible post-game celebrations tonight.
Dude, Yone, man, I got nothing.
I think what the fans want against Sticks is for you to jump back on that bed. That's what they need.
Yeah.
That's what we need. And maybe yourself also to clear out those nerves. But my serious question more so along the lines of individually, how are you feeling coming to this one? Obviously, you showcased us the brand in the bot lane, which is a little bit different, a little bit new. Obviously, then Doraemon picked up the reins on the Zeri. Bit of a rough series, though, coming into this one, right? A lot of targeted aggression towards you in particular. So has that affected you too much? Are you a momentum-based player, would you say, or is every game a clean slate?
Oh, look, when I experience that sort of targeted aggression in games, I take it more as a compliment because they're identifying me as a threat. So I think it actually boosts my confidence that I know I'm doing something right for them to be putting resources against me to try and shut me down. So individually, I think I'm confident. I'm not like particularly nervous against GZ. Like obviously Limus and Karak are really strong laners, but I don't think that they're unbeatable, and I don't think they're unkillable. So yeah, I'm chilling.
Mm-hmm. Beauty, awesome.
Chilling, Tally.
And I guess my question is, well, first of all, hey Sam, how you doing? So we know that Ground Zero is predictable team. I say you feel pretty confident knowing what they're gonna draft, what they're gonna play, or what kind of play style. Do you guys, are you gonna match that ban for ban, or have you, prepared a certain strategy to deal with that?
I think we've definitely sort of look. We sat down and we identified like what were the I guess common themes with GZ's draft throughout the split. Like they've definitely stuck to a pretty similar theme in most of their drafts, and we know the areas that we think we need to target to force them into a situation that makes it a bit volatile and a bit different to what they usually like experience with. And I think that gives us the best chance of maybe sneaking a win or a series away from them, is just trying to sort of flip the script and put them in a position that they haven't been in before. So that's our game plan.
All right. It's a good plan. We'll have to see if it works out. But Sticks, thank you so much for coming on. We do have to call it there. Good luck tonight. I'm rooting for you. You have a good one, yeah?
Thank you, boys. Pike, Skimmy, Jimmy, have a good one.
Mwah!
I'll catch those kisses, slap it on my cheek every time. Every time a kiss is blown to me, I'll take it because I love it. But no, again, Ion, such a good-looking team. Like they are 4th seed, so they're definitely worthy to be up there with the other big-name dogs out there, Tally. But it's going to be a bit of a tall order.
Definitely. I'm very curious to what this game is going to look like because, as he did say, they are looking to create, a scenario where Ground Zero is going to feel some volatility, and I think that's probably the best bet for Ion. I think in the laning phase, they can match up to their opponents, and if there is, that volatile early game, if they are able to snowball, create a lead, they can definitely, get ahead and, really mend that mid-game gap that we're worried about.
Well, let's have a look at the past series. This was GZ vs Ion, Week 5, Day 2. Skimmy, look at this for me. Anything shouting out that you're like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, well, Game 1 was definitely the standard affair. Obviously, Game 2, Doraemon's internet dropped out, unfortunately, which meant that we had a few different shenanigans, so hence why we discussed this as not having the truest conclusion to round out that game during the regular season. But yeah, for me, it's a case of what is the style in particular from these supports, right? Do you want to keep seeing the likes of this Nautilus, Leona handshake? Are we going to play a little bit more defensively, like we've seen the side of Tom Kent, even a Skarner support in the mix, and obviously Brom's been rising up the ranks if you're not going for the aggression in an Alistair. So when you look at these two supports in their match history, it's just a whole bunch of Leona, if not that, the Nautilus. And I'm curious to see, given that it is a best of 3, and especially for Ion's side, if you're wanting to be volatile, how much pressure do you put into the laning phase to make sure that the mid game is actually, a real factor, or you might just fall behind, by the classic 5k gold, and the mid game once again doesn't exist.
Well, we've now seen this. We've seen Week 5, Day 2. Let's look at our predictions scaling of what lanes we think are going to be the hot take. Ooh, okay. All right. No one here has seen this thus far, so we're all actually feeling kind of spicy, and we've all got a very similar answer. And I think probably the main one is, Skimmy, you've gone very heavy GZ.
Yeah, look, I don't do thing in half measures. I was sort of just like, they're either good or they're not. Yeah, look, I believe lane for lane, there's certainly big strengths here for Ground Zero. I gave a bit of a nod to Doraemon just because I know he can play some pretty unique champions and on his day can be an absolute weapon when given a chance. I think the biggest lane difference is going to be found in the spot lane though. I think that, Kurek and Lemus went on their A game, looks simply unbeatable. Yes, obviously Styx is right in saying that they can get kills against them, but I think you do need that comprehensive performance, so it's going to need to be more than just that one particular matchup.
That's it. Well, let's have a quick look at side select, as we're going to show it on this graphic too, while Tally, we can get your thoughts on why you've done this. But first side select available is going to be exactly blue side for GZ. Okay, so they're sticking to their guns, Tally, and tell us why you've picked your champions as well.
Very, very similar reason to Skimmy. I think it's the big one to stand out, in the entire graphic is the fact that, so many of us have gone down the middle for mid lane. I do not think Fido is a weakness for Ground Zero at all. I just think Jovi is, if they do create that volatility in the game, he is the way they can win this game, because we saw that Fido was struggling last week against Raze in these 80 carries versus 80 carry matchups. So if it is that volatile lane in mid, that is where Ion can strike. We have seen what Jovi can do if he does get ahead.
Well, that's very true, but we'll have to see as well, as we do have one thing that you can't forget about, anyone in Twitch chat right now. You can't forget about it. Get your Twitch votes in, because we're in the playoffs. This is where the points are coming in. Thick, fast, and heavy. Exactly how I like it. So get them up there. Let's have a look at our predictions as well while I quickly break down GZ. I went for very similar, but I look at Cole Lee as well. I had to give a little bit. Schönfire, yes, the GOAT. Absolutely phenomenal, but Cole Lee has proven himself very good. That's why I'm a little bit down on that. But predictions, we're all saying 2-0 tonight. It makes a lot of sense though, Skimmy.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's very hard to look past them at this stage. I think until a team actually takes a game away from them, it's hard to look past, clean sweeping throughout the entire season. So, yeah, I'm not seeing that one change anytime soon. But as Tally mentioned, yeah, a lot of that volatility is going to come from the mid lane. And I'm hoping that keyword is not just going to be a buzzword that we chuck around, and actually, the draft, the play style, and sort of the practice leading into this best of series is going to, back up those points as well.
Look, I'm excited. I think that's the big thing here. I can't undersell that enough. I'm probably not giving it the right amount of energy, so forgive me, audio, if I do get a little bit more loud and hyped, because I'm ready to go. I'm so excited for these games, and I think GZ are really going to pull something out. I think we haven't seen like the full form Ground Zero just yet, and would you guys agree with that? Like, it feels like they've almost held back a little bit in their drafts. It's been very much the same sort of thing. They're playing what's safe and knowing that they can do it, but I feel like they're going to pull something real out of the trenches almost, and really going to hit home for something, Tally.
Counterpoint. I don't think they will. I feel like until a team forces them to, stop playing what they're playing, they're going to keep playing it every single game, because, like, why would you ever change if it's going to keep winning? They look so strong on it. They look so dominant on it. If the teams do not cook up an answer that can really deal with it, they're not going to be forced to change and play anything else, and they're going to keep running back these mage junglers, these tank supports, and I think that the meta really revolves around jungle and support right now, and Kurak and Shone look so in form.
Well, you know what? Don't even worry about my point then. I'll just go and cry myself to sleep while you guys enjoy the first game of the series. Let's get it going. I just want to go watch it and have some fun. Enjoy, gents. Get in there.
Beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much there, Pike. And yeah, let's jump into this one. This is what you've been waiting for all season long. And I see you got all week to soak in the madness. Best of threes, they begin here tonight. Ground Zero, your undefeated first seed team, reigning champions, mind you, up against Ion that snuck in that top 4 seed in the very last week.
Very curious ban opening, Simi. We see so many first pick bans coming out of Ground Zero, so, maybe they do not want to play the Rumble. We have seen Tian is really proficient on this champion, but, banning it away on the blue side means that they have a different priority champ that they want to take. They do not want to give away this Rumble to Doraemon. The Leona also being banned away, another one that I thought, Hexsplash has played this champ pretty much, I think it was like 80 or 85% out of all of his champions, so it's very high priority for him, so that one being removed makes sense. Even though Correct does have that Braum answer, getting people of familiarity in best of series is so important, and 3 mage junglers going towards Schönfire being taken out, but he just has so many tools, Skivvy, so it's hard to deal with.
Yeah, his champion pool is so large that it's pretty rough to say that even with the 3 bans, there's still so many more options for him to go towards, right? The Zyra would have been a surefire thing, but them going for the Ezreal sparks a bit of curiosity. Last time they went up against each other, it was Fido that did play it in the mid lane. He did actually secure first blood up against Joby's Yone. So whether or not that's going to be a flex or still going towards them, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and with the Zyra and the Tristana being locked in, you would consider this the two Apex picks in their respective roles right now in the mid and the jungle. So really nice pick up by them. But I think the 3 bans going towards Shern is it's more respect because none of these champs are good into Zyra, right? They don't stop Zyra from functioning. Zyra does really good into them, and Shern, with all those mages being gone, just picks another one anyway, which is Karthus, who is so strong in itself. Pair that up with double 80 carries. GroundZero are really happy with taking away this first 3.
Absolutely would be. I mean, you've got really phenomenal scaling, and then you've got the freest time then for Shernfire to farm up an absolute treat, which is his style, right? He loves to have stable lanes, the trust in his teammates that they will afford him the space in the map to do as he pleases, and rush as quickly as you can to level 6. I like this, though, from Iron. Straight out the gates, they go in with the Camille. Haven't seen it from Doraemon in a hot minute, but certainly being one of his go-tos, and you now imagine that all those bans are going to be there to protect it.
Yeah, and I'm curious, is this going to be the Jax or the Poppy? Because whatever one is left up here, Skimmy will be locked in by Tien most likely, and I think he's very comfortable playing either one of those 3 champions into the Camille. So I do like the Camille as a pick itself into 80 carries. I think it's really nice to, lock down these champions, and the fact you do have that Cho'Gath ult to be able to delete these squishy champions is nice. The only thing I will say, I'm curious to how GroundZero navigate early game, because Karthus is not a champ who can really impact lanes, and if any of these lanes do become volatile, like we saw last week, it could be a scary time for GroundZero if they do not manage to get through this early game.
That it certainly could be, Tally. That it certainly could be. With the Premier Jungler to partner with the Camille and the Sejuani, that's been denied away. Both those supports will be touched on as well, and Leona and Nautilus also denied. So maybe a bit of variation finally comes to life. With the Renekton and Jax denied, you're certainly already thinking, well, yep, it's a Poppy angle for sure. But I'm curious to see how I want to break open this draft even further. We've discussed Miss Fortune getting buffed in this patch, and they say, look, this is the full AoE wombo combo.
And they're saving support for that counter pick, so they're going to get a favorable matchup in the bot side, which could secure them priority. Pair that with the, they have the counter pick in the mid lane. They have banned out top lane, so Ion on that red side have secured themselves a very comfortable draft, regardless of what they do pick on that last, slot in the 5th pick. Curious to what GroundZero do want to pick here. Is it going to be the, the Poppy that we're so used to, or does TN want to play a more aggressive champion on that top side?
Well, there's the question, and the answer very shortly to be found out. Rail to be coming into life here, as they make sure they have some form of AoE as well as a solid engaged threat. Question does become, though, what is the final pick? Bit of a shout out there to Benvi with the Heimerdinger.
Ooh.
But what would the laning option be? It's a Lee Sin. This is pretty exciting. I think we discussed this briefly as well, that Tien's been spamming us a fair bit in solo queue.
This has been his his pick, his pocket pick for a very long time. Anyone who knows Tien from watching his stream or seeing him in solo queue, Lee Sin has always been his most played in multiple years. So with the buffs coming through on the current patch to the Iron Will, having a larger shield in laning phase affords him just a much better time when it comes to trading. And Lee Sin is a champ who can space these melee bruises in the top side. So very nice pick from him. Can pair that up with the Dragon's Rage to be able to deny Camille diving onto your backline. And I think it's a good pick to, mark the Camille. But saying that, Skimmy, if he does fall behind, Lee Sin really cannot do anything to Camille on the side lane.
Yeah, it's going to feel rough, right? Much like a laning Graves, where you can be an absolute lane bully, can be a really strong 1v1 duelist, but if you fall behind, going to feel pretty rough. And I think he should be no better qualified than anybody else in the league to understand what a Camille can do if they get given a small chance to pop off and and shine. So I think overall, a lot of the boxes have been ticked in terms of the stability, the standard nature of GroundZero. Yes, the Lee Sin is that one curveball, but maybe not so much if you've done your research. But on the side of Iron, I'm quite happy with the denial, the picks, the bans, and sort of overall the comp to try and create some action on the map. So not just sort of sitting there holding hands until 15.
Yeah, but Skimmy, we do look at both drafts right now, and I think that Shernfire has got away with the better pick this time around. Karthus just functions better into the enemy comp than Zyra does into the comp that GroundZero has prepared. Zyra is really good into champs who dive into you, whereas you look at Corki and Ezreal, both champs who are going to be able to outrange you extremely well, and Tien always has that flank one-shot potential onto you as you are a squishy mage. Where, GroundZero are just going to rock up to these fights with their poke, with their range, and make it really hard for you to walk in with, because they're kind of forced to engage onto them, but running into that Karthus wall, the Kurak on whether he wants to play a flank angle, just way too many things to worry about, and being outranged, I think it's going to be quite hard for them in the mid game, so they really need to get ahead of these solo lanes to be able to function.
No, they certainly do. You just saw Kurak there taking off the bathrobe before. Man's feeling ready to rock and roll. He's inspired, he's energized, he's keen to showcase, much like the rest of the team, that they deserve to be in this position. And this is their bread and butter, and you've really got to push the limit for them to showcase something a little bit spicy like that Nasus as well as that Amumu. Let's see then what takes place here in your opening night. It is a best of 3, a conclusion for once, really, a chance to actually understand who is the better team. No ifs, no buts, no question marks. But for Ground Zero, certainly a chance to begin their defense of their reign.
It is so nice to me that we are going into this best of 3 series because I've always wanted the winner. Like, as a player, I always want to see a winner come out on the day. So really nice that we will have that best of 3 into a winner. And it's just, so nice that these teams can finally prepare, I'll pull out these drafts that they have prepared because I always say the first game in the best of series is just, reading what your opponents prioritize. And game 2 is when the series really starts.
Absolutely, and I think it's been even more true when we've been on land, right? Where game 1 tends to be the most reserved, the most anxiety-invoking moment where players just need to get into the rhythm, first few CS, maybe the first few objectives, kills, whatever it may be, get yourself into the zone, and then truly that's when the game comes online, right? Game 2 especially, we're seeing level 1 action, we're seeing 5-man group ups, and I mean, whilst we've seen moments of that during the regular season, I think this is when it can go up another level because you can utilize 6 weeks of research of tendencies, of habits, and say, we're going to be in your head rent-free, and you're going to be scratching your head and, losing your mind.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning, I do think, there is going to be that extra bit of nerves coming into these best of series because there's just a lot more pressure now. These games really do matter. It's like, we are in the upper bracket, so there is that extra life, but, if you do drop multiple series, that's lights out for you. That's your season over. That's your year over pretty much. And it's just, it's very unfortunate to invest so much time throughout the year to just, all of a sudden throw it away because, maybe your draft that you prepared wasn't ideal. Maybe you didn't play correctly in that game. So it's just a lot of extra nerves to come up. But also saying that, there's a lot of adrenaline that comes with that. So if they do start playing well, teams who are quite emotional, playoff energy, can excel in these playoff situations.
They certainly can, and I think we've seen it in the past, right, where players can have that sort of tight mentality and not be phased by anything. Unfortunately, a bit of a delay to start this one off, so maybe that adds to the nerves that players are raring to dismiss. But I am curious to sort of see what the overall goal is from Ion, right? How they want to try and bridge the gap in terms of skill, because I think there's going to be the optimist and the pessimist looking at this and saying if they get smashed 2-0 in a very quick fashion, was that upper bracket actually a blessing or was it more so a burden? You then drop down below, you've done all your prep, you're thinking, okay, we're up against a different team now, surely we can favor ourselves here. And I mean, there's all these different question marks you've got to label, and it's going to come down to the character, who's the real leader, who's got that that ability to not be too upset, right? Even if game plan doesn't go to the strategy you've designed.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid about for Ion. We look at Ground Zero's side. You never worry about there being a communication issue. We know Schoenfire is so good at leading the troops, and I think that with the drafts they have prepared, it is so important for these melee supports to have time to roam around the map and interact with their junglers, because if either melee support finds these squishy mage junglers with their own jungler in tandem, so easy to find these kills, and I think that we're going to see a lot more proactivity from Kurak and Schoenfire than we are from Hexflash and Coley, because that's just the story of Ground Zero throughout this entire season. Kurak is just really good at roaming around the map. He's always getting good vision. He's always in the correct places for these engage angles. And, I would really, really like to see Hexflash change up what we've seen throughout the regular season from him. I want to see a lot more aggression from him coming into playoffs.
I think so too. I think it's certainly going to be the difference maker here. How many times have we seen throughout this season of LCO that it's been the better support jungle pairing wins? Their timings, their rotations, their spidey senses to know that something isn't really adding up. Certainly has been the difference maker. And to touch on an interesting point, right, when we look at when this Lee Sin was last played, during the LCO at least, that was a couple of years ago, last played by Lived. But if you look at recent times, actually was played by Tien over in the PCS playoffs when they took that very first game off the LJL. So, going to be raring to go, ready to prove himself once again that the pocket pick is his for a reason, and maybe warrant a ban going into game 2.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see Lee Sin, but I want to touch on this. This is so nice to see by Ground Zero. All the time, Karthus players, they just full clear, right? You never ever get to see them use the strongest strength of Karthus, which is the fact no champ in the game can contest Karthus level 1. If he lands all these Skittles, his damage output is insane. He is one of the strongest junglers in the game, or the strongest champions in the game at level 1. So really nice to see that they are going into evade. They are creating volatility that, we thought I would be the ones wanting to do this. So it's good to see that Ground Zero have a game plan and they are, attacking on it.
They've understood the assignment, right, as you'd say from Iron, that they need to try and bridge that gap some way, and they're not going to be afraid to dabble into some of that craziness themselves as well. And I'm curious to sort of see what that first bit of blood is spilt, whether or not it be in the spot lane, which it certainly looks like it could be right now as the Ignites go out, the Summoners to match the barrier to deny all that damage, whilst Lemus holds on to his. Styx does not. Flashes are all there, but now that kill pressure is sky high.
Yeah, barrier advantage will be there to ground zero, but the major thing for the Skimmy is the fact that the junglers are split on the map right now. If Coley wants to cross bot to impact this 2v2, he's giving up all these topside camps, whereas, you know, Schoenfire can walk bot side after clearing those camps. Well, we are seeing the aggression in the bot lane. The bone playing does come back up.
Jovi, dangerously close to getting the kill. He just needs one more auto. It was buffing, it was waiting, it was so low. And then Fireto within that window flashes the safety and says, you know what, fair enough.
They didn't even know Skibby. They had no idea that they invaded their jungle level 1. So Coley caught out of position. Gonna be, you know, lose so much experience if Schoenfire does, you know, recognize this and go back to the top side. If Coley shows on any vision on the bot side right now, he's gonna lose his ult. Schoenfire's entire top side. There's gonna be 3 quadrants going to the Karthus, and there's such a lights out moment for these mage junglers.
And it's such an awkward moment for Coley to try and go for this invade because his mid lane's just gone back to base. His bot lane is holding it in suspension, and then top lane is further and further behind. So you're going for this invade, you find nothing here. You know, you're saying, well, I have to go top. But how do you gain access to top when Tien is just pushed up?
Oh no, Skibby, this is going to be a very strong Karthus going into this first base, picking up these extra camps. Spider does not have the flash though for this gank. If this route lands, he will be going down.
Does he have the Valkyrie? He looks to try and play it towards the top half of the river. Makes a lot of sense, but I think he's running between nowhere and very fast. Falling on down. There's the first blood for Jovi. That's what you wanted to see. And this is the start they'll need to try and rely upon.
This is what we want to see from Iron. We want to see volatility created in the mid lane. And this is the matchup that really does it. Tristana being able to jump forward consistently onto the Corki has, you know, the bone playing advantage against the inspiration tree from Corki. So every time that is up, he can trade aggressively. There is a sustained advantage going towards Fighter who does have the cookies, but the straight up all-ins, it's always going to favor the resolve tree.
And I know you've been a big advocate for Jovi playing the ranged carries as opposed to that of the Yone. Obviously, those aggressive tendencies still ring true, but having that positioning advantage certainly could be the difference right here. And speaking of that, Schoenfire going to pop his head into the top lane now and say, well, I've taken literally everything on the map. I know exactly where you'll be on reset here, Coley. It can only be this one spot, and I'm ready and waiting for you.
Level 5 already. Coley did get both of the crabs, so it's not lights out for him, but he's in such a bad position. He did get the, you know, the component on that first recall, but he's losing his camps again, and he's not going to win this 1v1 against Shern. He needs his laners to be able to impact this one for him, Skimmy, but it's so bad for Ion solo lanes if they're pulled out of their matchup to be able to, you know, fight this, because if they do get matched in tandem, this is a level 5 Karthus. Yeah,
and nobody wants to be drawn away from this, right? Obviously, the Tristana wants to keep on fighting. Oh, look at these Skittles. He really is laying waste to everything on this map right now. But Jovi might say, enough is enough. We have to answer back. You can see that Tien has already roamed down from top side. Doraemon stuck underneath his tower, doesn't really want to be involved whatsoever. And it's just such an awkward moment because, yes, your mid lane is strong, but your jungler is just so far behind.
And Jones completely happy with that. He's just going to base, get his lost chapter, so he's so far ahead of his counterpart in the jungle. Going to clear from bot to top again, because that's just based on where his camps are spawning from the first initial clear. And he's going to be level 6 extremely fast, which might swing this mid lane matchup back in favor of Fido.
That it certainly could do, and I think that's going to be an interesting point, right, as to what they want to try and do with that priority if they can find it. Because generally speaking, Ground Zero haven't been the biggest fans of these dragons. They've always gone for these grubs, and it just screams to me that their focus has always been on the macro. If we get a kill, if we get a moment, if we get a better trade, we can take a tower. That tower gives us more space, we can roam, we can deny even more on the map. And it sort of just goes on from that point. There's Jovi! Once again! That's a second solo kill, and now he's 2-0.
What a nice rocket jump coming out of Jovi. It dodges the initial Q coming out of Fido, so that, you know, all that damage, all the front-loaded damage coming out of Corki is avoided. Gets the level up, finds the buster shot, which adds a stack to that explosive shot, and it's an easy solo kill for himself. So there is a saving grace for Ion right now in the mid lane, but Coley caught out of position.
Yeah, certainly is caught out of position and still looking for a way back into this game. Really is playing a dangerous one though, constantly running around enemy side and thinking, is this warded? Is it not? That is the question, as he might find himself 2 bot laners in a second. Vision not to be found there, and Lemus can just say, well, I'm going to be farming underneath this turret. So no harm, no foul on that occasion. But this is an interesting look, isn't it? Already 7 minutes into the game, and it's Iron with the gold lead, and maybe Jovi hunting for a third.
Yeah, and this is just going to be what this mid lane matchup looks like for the rest of this game. You see Coley going for the dragon, so I think this is a different look for the teams. Ground Zero never really been a big, have a lot of priority on these objectives. They always cared a lot more. Shern's cared a lot more about camp, stealing away camp. Takes the grubs because that does give a lot of experience to the jungler. But Dragon takes too long. A lot of junglers really don't want to stall this one out. But Ion always been big about getting his objectives, the Riptails, the Dragon, stacking those up and having that win condition in the late game. So if they do maintain this mid priority and the fact that they can match up to the bot lane strength coming out of Ground Zero right now, we might see 2 or 3 Dragons coming out of this extended laning phase for Ion, which could really bridge this gap we're going to see from the jungle.
Without a doubt, 100%, right? It's going to really favor both teams' playstyle, their strengths, their strategy. It's going to be interesting to see what the mid game then looks like as a result, and if an actual Dragon Soul point comes into the picture at all, really. Doraemon feels like for an eternity now has been stuck underneath this tower, just relentlessly forced to farm and claim whatever he can get, as it does get denied underneath that one. But now it becomes the time for the supports to get active on the map and roam and rotate and find that way to act as that second jungler. And Shern on vision doesn't really have a care in the world, says, yeah, Collie, come towards me. What are your laners going to do about it?
That's a level 7 Cartha, Skimmy. You know, Collie is walking in with that Strangle Thorns with a level 6, so maybe they find the kill, but Kurak's already here.
Kurak is certainly here. Shernfire has no mana. I don't think he really cares. He goes to the Afterlife. All that mana comes back, but it doesn't matter because Doraemon is down. Coley is waiting for the invitation to try and go in, but without any vision there, it is just so scary.
What did I say, Skimmy? Kurak is always in the right position. You know, they communicate this ahead of time. Shernfire's probably like, all right, I want to invade his top side when these camps respawn. Like, can anyone help me here? Kurak's like, all right, I have free time. I have an Ezreal bot lane. I did not need to be there. I can come to the top side. In the right position, you know, it clutches that one up. Without him there, that would be Shern going down. That would be a kill going into Doraemon. And the fact that Tien now in that volatile Bruiser matchup does have the lead. This is a very good early game for Ground Zero.
It's the perfect start, right, to try and match that. Obviously, you've got an incredibly strong solo AP. In the Carfist, that's going to be very happy with the way things have played out so far. And not to mention, we're still waiting for that very first Requiem to come to life. And that could turn the tides even further back in their favor, as these lane states have shown that they're not afraid to take a fight. Whilst it's all come from the mid lane primarily, certainly even in the bot lane, they've been trading objectives, or I should say trading summoners when given a chance.
And I think that we have to give a bit of props to Collie. He's done a good job to steal away multiple camps from Shernfire now. So Shernfire's very greedy clear is being punished. You know, we see him constantly just going over and over again for that full clear, but sticks all in, and there's the Requiem, Skimmy.
There is the Requiem, and that's what we're looking for. The Magnet Storm to make sure there is no survivors on this occasion, and that's really as simple as it is. The Carp is left unchecked. The aggro laners getting a chance to shine now, and the all-in that's rewarded nicely.
Nice guy, Lemus, you know, leaves the kill for Shernfire. I know in solo queue, every 80 carry takes that kill almost every single time. But, you know, we're going to see these constant all-ins coming out of Jovi. But the tabbies have been picked up by Fido now, so a lot of that front-loaded damage is being navigated because a lot of Tristan's damage really comes from having that Kraken Slayer finish, but without that one being completed, not a lot of that damage. But as we do go on the replay, landing the, the WR on Ezreal is so much damage, and it's usually something you outplay with the cleanse, and the fact that Styx did go for that barrier could be quite a mistake going forward in this game.
Yes, certainly could be. I mean, that was a really nice engage there to set things up for Kurak, to allow Lemus then to hit the devastating combo onto literally everybody. And unfortunately, again, for Coley, just a little bit too late, lagging behind to try and impact that lane and help them out. Just sees his bot lane disappear before his very eyes. Kurak once again on the roam. Doraemon being zoned already to his tier 2. That tower is still so topped up and healthy. The Dragon's Rage to lock him up against the wall. Damage to follow things up with, and a second kill going the way of the Carf, as Fido again is the man on the fret, under focus and under siege. And with the assistance of Hex Flash, that's Jovi with kill number 3.
It's alright, Fido. It's okay. We've all been there. We've all been 0-3 with a huge lead on our team right now. He's still going to be able to do his job as the game does go on, but at this point, he has allowed Ion to have this huge win condition. That was very close, Skimmy. I gotta give it, but that was very nice. 2-shot barrage, but not enough damage. The Kraken is completed there for Jovi, so this is when I was talking about that main power spike when Tristana comes online. You do have that attack speed steroid to proc that, physical damage amp on every third auto. So this is their main point to be able to take over the game, and this is where we need to see Hex Flash group up, use that flash engage to find some kills for his team.
What if it's not going to be the mid lane? He's going to say, if you're roaming to my lane, look at you, Lemus, where is your HP bar? Everybody jumps on towards him. Hex Flash goes in with the flash quickness combo and says, you cannot get away with that. That's so disrespectful in our face.
And there we go. They found the kill, Skimmy. They got that initial shutdown onto Lemus, but the kill does go to Hex Flash to Jovi. So Well, it is good, it is not ideal, but they still have a lot of freedom in this mid lane, whereas 6 Grubs going over to the Ground Zero members, it's going to be very dicey for the Ion side.
Trying to bait them in as they take some plates before they fall on down. Yes, that next set of grubs has been taken, so all 6 going the way of Ground Zero as they've done time and time again. But they're going to group up, and it looks like a contest is actually going to go towards this dragon, unless it looks like Tien, despite being here, wants the TP topside.
Yeah, it looks like, as I mentioned before, Ground Zero as a team never really prioritize these dragons, not too much worry about them. They always want to get as much experience and gold as possible. And that's why we see Tien teleporting top side. They're going to be catching 3 waves of farm. They have this side of trade to go for. They can dive this top side as 3 if that is a play they want to go for, and they can secure that first tower gold.
It just makes so much sense though, right? When we're able to play all 3 lanes, who cares about a dragon? We can just win the game right here and now. That Sonic Wave so close to connecting, and a True Shot Barrage just a little bit late, coming all the way from the bottom half of the map. But that'll be the first tower. And with the lane strengths, I think, yeah, Ground Zero are incredibly happy to say, we've done this better than anybody in this league, able to push all 3 lanes whilst you're so shoehorned into saying, we must get this dragon at all costs.
And this is Ground Zero knowing their win conditions, Kimmy, or recognizing the enemy team's win conditions. They know that if Doraemon is ahead on that side lane, Camille can absolutely take over the game. So a lot of time is invested into this top side to make sure Lee Sin is stronger than Camille, giving him that first blood target, giving him so many, ganks and dives onto this Camille. So there is no way Doraemon can win that 1v1 on the side. And with Ground Zero going to the mid game, the team we talk about being so scary when it comes to the macro gameplay, having 3 lanes of priority, or maybe 2 just because how strong Joby is, going to be a very, very scary time for Ion.
Certainly is. It's going to be an interesting way of figuring out how they can actually set up these lane assignments to favour them so Joby can remain as strong as he is, because only member on his side right now with 6,000 gold to his name, a bit of a divide between him and then Styx, only at 4.7. But Tien, with this pocket pick, with the Lee Sin, quirky and unconventional as it is, to get off to a start like this, you would be very, very happy about. Now, Joby is the one under threat. Doesn't get hit by the combo to start things off with, but then Joby is able to leap out the safety from that Magnet Storm. Fido's going to Valkyrie into aggression, the flash to get away from that wall of pain, and the Hex Flash just to hit the quickness as a deterrence, not even to land the charm.
Well, they do get the cast this flash out there, so if they do find a window to engage into Schoenfire, that is the kill, but he is going to find himself more levels. He is working towards that level 11, and that's that really scary point for Karthus, because that's when that Rec Room starts to really hurt. You need to worry about that as a team, because not a lot of these champions have sustain in their kit. Luckily for Styx, he does have that Bloodthirster, so he can sustain up a lot of that front-loaded burst that comes out of the Ground Zero side. But if he does get caught in that Magnet Storm without the cleanse, he has no way of getting out.
Certainly doesn't. It's going to be pretty rough if you're locked inside of that one. Most time in the game, though, at this stage is Tien, who's been given so much freedom to do as he pleases. Takes the first tower on the top side of the map, give it a small moment to shine in the bot lane, and nearly chips away to claim that one as well. When Schoenfire just, addicted to this objective top side. 6 grubs into the first Herald, into nobody looking at him.
And I think there's also really nice to see from Ground Zero. In weeks past, we saw Schoenfire would go for these soul invades, would find himself falling down, but so many times that he has been walking enemy jungle, he has had Tien in his back pocket, he has had Kurak hovering him from base. So nice to see that this team, still being the best team in our league, is still evolving throughout the weeks. They're still becoming better and better at this playstyle that they're so proficient on.
Well, Kurak is very far overextended, does have Tien to his side in a second to try and lean upon if he can find it, but whether or not Tien feels like he wants to jump in this, he sees the Requiem go out. That is a level 11 Karthus right now, so he says it's my time to shine. Safeguard to safety, but is he safe at all? One flash having to be burnt. Fido comes in here without the TP, just waiting in the brush. And Iron get distracted for just a second and end up losing their tower.
Bit of a deterring Rec Room from Schoenfire there. I think that was really nice, honestly, because you don't really expect him to throw the ult out if there's no pressure coming onto himself, but Joby is staying around here. Multiple members from Ground Zero.
He is going to rocket jump to safety, but is he going to be safe enough? Fantastic ult to safety! Says, I can do some Lee Sin shenanigans of my own right now, and then both supports explode into life. There's the 2-man Stranglethorns, and there's the all-important shutdown. Going the way of Doraemon, would you believe it? And the Camille really, really needed that one.
That's perfect for Ion, and a nice play of discipline from Doraemon. So this is what we talked about in weeks past, where they would find these kills, and they would continue to snowball and throw the lead that they garnered in that team fight. So nice to see that they are having that disciplined gameplay. They are going to base, they are going to worry about tempo. Finding that kill onto the Camille is so big for them, but what a nice play from Joby Skimming.
So many times, though, it feels like Joby is the bait, is the attraction of we need to go towards him, but that ult to safety really sets the play up.
Yeah, and the fact that they did find that initial engage with Hex Flash on the Rakan is so good. There was no Wreck on there, so there is no trade coming out, but Skimmy, there is a fight happening in mid lane.
Another fight straight out of the replay, as to be expected, right? You don't get a chance to break down these fights, Telly. I think you would have learnt this after 6 weeks. We just go, go, go. And on this occasion, there is nothing to come of it than just a few HP bars being tickled, and mid lane being the point of priority.
Yeah, and the whole time, Karthus farming away, Shunfire farming away, trying to become as strong as possible. But there isn't really that, lead that we worried about in the early game anymore. It's just that experience lead towards himself. I think the items are quite similar when we look at Zari's inventory. They're going to have that same power, but once again, as I mentioned in draft, Karthus just has an easier job of being effective this game, right? All he needs to do is throw down that wall of pain, throw out the Requiem. He can impact these team fights, whereas Collie really needs members to run into him, run into these plants to really have any impact in this fight, because if the Rakan and the Camille dive forward without Flash, he cannot really follow it up.
You can't. It's been a little bit rough at the best of times, right? But you do see on that occasion there, Gran Zero something else. Shelly doesn't get given a passenger, no pilot to guide her to a direction, does still get the headbutt off successfully. And as mentioned before, with these 6 grubs, any single time Iron go for this predictable play, if we need this dragon, that is our win condition. Gran Zero say that's great. We just push out these waves, and Tien is a split-pushing menace. This will be tower number 3.
And this is a proactive play from both teams, right? Ground Zero recognized that Ion are overgrouping and they just, they get the gold, they get the experience, that's all they really care about. But Ion, they only care about these dragons, right? They care about getting this win condition in that Hextech Soul, because if they do get themselves that Hextech Soul, all of a sudden, these strong members are even stronger. Only 2 members here right now. There is the Requiem. Can he outplay this one again?
Nicely done onto Kurak. That would be the main threat, but now he has to take a 1v1 into Fighter, who he says, yep, I'm not an AP Corki anymore. I probably can't queue from range with these rockets. You've, escaped our grasp yet again. And that seems to be the difference, right? It's Tien split pushing, it's Jovi responding on the other end of the map. And it's a case of who looks to try and punish it first to maybe, get a flash or burn something of use.
What a performance from Jovi so far this game, Skimmy. I think that when he plays these range champions, he just looks so much better. He's constantly avoiding so much pressure being put into him. We've seen so many Gengar Tefs onto Jovi, on the side lane, on the mid lane. Always getting out alive, either trading kills or chunking the enemy out, just making sure that he's having so much pressure on the map. So really good to see by him. And I think that when that 3rd item comes out for the Tristana is when this champion really comes online and can really take over this game. And with the fact that Tien is not matching him on that side lane, Fido cannot do anything against this Tristana without team members.
Fido's not a happy man whatsoever, right? 0-3 during the laning phase. Certainly was the point of focus, was the one they looked to try and target on down. And it's worked off beautifully, right? The Navori quick blade's already done, so a full item advantage over him. But Kurak going to be locked in place, tries to run to safety, but gets locked in place by the roots. They turn it around, 2 Magnetic Storm, True Shot Barrage, Requiem, drop down every kind of AoE ultimate you can muster, and hope that you can find the kill. Lights out for Styx, even get a chance to utilize that barrier, and the flash didn't give him anywhere near enough space.
And these are the plays I was talking about, Skimmy, that I was worried what we would see from Ion into Ground Zero. They look for these mismatched team fights. They blow a lot of their engaged tools onto Kurak, and we know what they look like in weeks past, right? When there's so many corners we're going on to this very tanky Leona, he would just sit there and absorb it all, and all of a sudden the Ground Zero members would show up and clean up. And that's exactly what we saw just then. With the quickness going onto Kurak means there's no pressure onto Lemus. The Requiem comes out from Shownfire. And with the TP onto Styx, he blows his flash, he dies. All of a sudden they have priority in all these lanes, and they have control again.
You bring up a really good point, though. I don't know what it is about Kurak, but his supports just feel tankier. I mean, that series up against Antic in the last week of the regular split, every game in Leon, you're like, how's this guy, he's got an item, Warmog's full build, but he lives as if he's a level 18 Sign. I just didn't quite understand it, but maybe that is the beauty of the beast. Well, 20 minutes on the dot, you wouldn't expect to see them rush a Baron any stretch of the imagination, but Shobi says, well, Fido, you're not going to enjoy this game whatsoever, and if I can get in your head, maybe this could be a decisive factor to try and close out the series. He takes one. Now, another challenger enters the arena. He just leaps into Shownfire and says, you probably got me.
You know what, maybe he didn't expect Kurak to show up. They are signing the Baron though, so this is curious. Shownfire will not be able to get here. Zyra is a champion who can do this Baron really fast with setup, but didn't have the plan set up, so they're going to be decided to disengage. And Timmy, if it is going to be the Baron still extended from these members, Tien doesn't take any damage. Shownfire is coming from base. This is the Hex Gates coming out. There is the flash on Hex Flash. If he can find that engage onto the backline of Lemus, he could die to Doraemon, but the engage is coming out.
Let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can find. Tien jumps in on his own. Kurak there, forced to follow with the flash pounce, hit them with the Magnet Storm, lock them down for the start, but then just the shutdown that goes the way of Doraemon. Lemus removes him from the table and flashes the safety thereafter. Kurak behind enemy lines, tries to lock down as many as they can, pad those HP bar down low, and hope that the Requiem can be the deal sealer. The Baron in the end does reset, but it will be a one-team fight for GZ.
A very, very easy one-team fight for them. Their main damage threat from Ion was not there. He was on the grey screen, did have the TP, so he is back on the map. But, Skimmy, I want to go to a little Boris point. Actually, I'll hold my point as Jovi is diving.
There is no time to talk. There is never a time to talk. That is kill number 5. Jovi is in another world. Why is he so good?
Dude, I'm very impressed by this player, Skimmy. I think that he has talent. This champion, or the meta for him right now, is so good. He just needs to know how to play these mid games, and what we're seeing right now is, you know, that case.
Yeah, has leveled up through the roof. Let's run it back with a replay and see how it all started off, because initially Ion started, but then Grand Zero ready to pick it up.
Yeah, and this is Tien going in, absorbing so many engaged tools coming out of the Ion side, and this is really good by him. He made so much pressure for his backlane to be able to walk up and do so much damage. And Fido, having that shorter respawn time means he's here before the main threat of Ion and gets to clean this one up with the Requiem coming out of Showfire.
It doesn't seem fair though, does it, when the fights are this close and you realize, oh wait, we've still got that laser from the sky to play cleanup crew. And you think, it all feels a little bit hopeless. But as you mentioned very early on into this game, right, despite Collie falling so far behind, still to be net positive, 0-4 in the KDA. Yes, you're falling behind in the CS, but still at a strong point. With the Leandra he's done, let's see what they can do around this objective they've spent this entire 23 minutes praying towards. A Dragon Soul!
This is a very hard scenario for Ion, right? They do not have the flash to engage with the Rakan. I talked about how Grand Zero do have that range advantage, so this is going to come down to a smite flip, Skimmy.
Let's see then who's got the steadier hands. Out goes some ultimates to try and guarantee it. It's going to be a two-man knockup that gets Schönfire in the end. Hexflash jumps across with the quickness expiring. The same fate is shared by his champion. So in the end, it will just be a kill for kill. But Grand Zero bought themselves 5 extra minutes.
Yeah, curious that Collie didn't even try to go for that smite there, Skimmy. Just decided to, you know, kill Schönfire, play his range. Didn't want to fall over there just in case the enemy could go to Baron, but Schönfire doesn't care. Puts his body on the line, gets the objective for his team, and denies that soul point for Ion. And I think it's so important that we look at how these team fights function, because we saw Hexflash dive in, but pretty much no one on his team could follow up. As we do go into the replay, we get to see, you know, zoned out by that wall of pain. I mentioned how important this was. Zyra out of range to smite because he is slowed down, he is scared, but Hexflash diving in when no one on his team can follow up, and I think this is such a big mistake for Rakan this game. He needs to play on his carries, who are extremely strong.
Yeah, there seems to be the mismatch of communication that we've sometimes seen plague them during that regular season. Let's see though, as Tien finally gets punished in this side lane, going to be receiving 2 members hunting him down with the aggression. Once again, a deterrence with that Requiem, and for good reason too, because Schönfire was rushing to assist his team, who was starting up the Baron for the second time.
No flash on the rail this time, so there isn't going to be that huge engage. The bullet time is almost off cooldown for Styx, but this is going to be a Baron go to Ground Zero. Will the fight be won for them?
Let's see then what's going to happen as a result. Jovi waiting across the wings, looking to try and see what he can find as a result, and they're going to try and slow them down, but a TP coming in from Tien right now. It's going to be a 5v4 because Coley is still limping behind in the river. 5v5 looks inevitable at this stage, but it's a case of who can get the right target selection, and Tien's absolutely isolated Zyra in the river. That one-man stranglefall to buy time. You go back topside, and the True Shot Barrage hasn't found anybody, but it's got them all dangerously, dangerously low. Both supports with massive amounts of AoE crowd control, but in the end, Limus just a little bit too good with the triple and the ace.
And this is the range advantage I keep talking about. It's so hard for Ion to get in and do damage. Even though Jovi is so strong on that Tristana, he has no sustain. He has no Bloodthirst to third, right? So a lot of the damage that does hit him from the Ezreal poke, the Corki poke, the Skittles coming out of Karthus, does stick, and with him getting chunked out, forced to jump away from that team fight, no one on his team can really do what he can right now.
Certainly can't, and it's a big reason why we talked about Limus and his form that he's been in this split. Certainly for me, at least, feels like a career high. Absolutely been bossing it every single game, and this one no exception. 7-1-2 now on the Ezreal. It was a first pick when so many fantastic champions were up and available. This is a big indicator why.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that these team fights, you know, they could look quite different, but I'll hold my points here because another
Hold your point for a second. Coley, unfortunately, has been slain like a jungle camp in his own jungle. And this is when things go from bad to worse. You're now down behind 10,000 gold. Ground Zero really in their driving seat, really where they feel comfortable. Really unafraid to run behind these towers. They don't have a care in the world. You think you're topped up and healthy? Not anymore. Popped just like that.
doesn't even have any of those big rod items, but still going to take out Misfortune from 40% health. That is level 16 on Shogunfire, 3 points in his ult, and this is going to be a very easy game close for them, assuming.
So it should be 6 grubs and a tower that doesn't really have much left in the tank to try and survive on this occasion. Doraemon jumps in with the Hail Mary to try and take down Shogunfire, successful in that pursuit, but will concede his life as a result of that one. And inside the fountain, Hexflash trying to play dodge left, right, and center. One member respawns, nearly dies right after. But in 26 minutes, Grand Zero open up their playoff account with a very convincing W.
Yeah, and I think this game went exactly how we expected. You know, we just thought there was going to be a lot of volatility in the mid lane that would favor Jovi if he does find some early game lead. But hit the mid game, hit those side lanes, and Ground Zero took over with their, prowess in the, the fact they're such a veteran-heavy side, and they just had such a good macro game.
And I think really for what you'd expect going into this matchup, it sort of really ticked the boxes, right? We saw Jovi be aggressive in his 1v1 where we expected to see the most pressure and success be found. And in top lane, you've locked in that Camille, you really brought the gauntlet to that of Tien. He says, watch this, brings out an old faithful in that laning top Lee Sin. Fantastic way to open up this account. It is a best of 3, so it's not done just yet, but we're going to do a quick break and we'll return right back for game 2.